Hey yo guys, what is up? Adrian here from Launch TV. I want to say that I'm sorry that I've been gone for so long, but before we get into the 1998 year of Horror Nights for the Hallow'd past, I want you guys to do me a huge favor. Go ahead and press that red subscribe button, because I'm thinking about doing a giveaway when I get to 1,000. I know it seems like a mile away, but let's do it. Let's get there together. I already have one item for the giveaway. I think you guys are going to love it. There's going to be more. What do you guys want to see in this giveaway? Let me know below. Why not? And since you're already going to be down there, why not give this video a thumbs up? And comment down below. Wait till later. I'll tell you the magic word. I'm not going to tell you now. It's way too early to do that. But now with all that being said, let's take some steps into history. Let's go dive into the Hallow'd past. Okay, now, before I get started properly on this, I just want to say, heads up. This is the one I found the most information on so far. So, from the last 7 episodes of the Hallow'd past, this one will be longer. Just a heads up. Now, let's see what Primal Scream has to offer. The year was 1998, and it is the 8th anniversary of Universal Studios Florida Halloween Horror Nights. And this year was advertised with a screaming face, and they called that the last scream you'll ever hear. The pricing for the event was around $42 plus tax, and the hours of operation were 7 p.m. to midnight on Sundays through Thursdays, along with 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. The event also ran for 13 nights this year, those nights being October 2nd, 3rd, 9th, 10th, 16th, 17th, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 31st. So now that we've discussed the dates, prices, and hours of operation, let's dive deep into the event, starting with the shows, of which this year we have 4. And as I've said in the past few Hallow'd past videos, we have the return of a Halloween Horror Nights staple, if you may. The time-traveling duo of Bill and Ted are back in Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure 7, Dial E for Excellent. And guess where they were? Back at the Wild West stage show. And in this year's show, similar to the years prior, they tackled the most popular things in pop culture. And in 1998, we had things like Lethal Weapon, Goodfellas, Halloween, Zorro, Titanic, and Grease. Now, if you guys want to watch this show, if I'm not mistaken, I found it on YouTube. Go check it out. It's pretty cool. You can see how different Bill and Ted has been over the years. And if you've never seen Bill and Ted, I recommend watching it because it was a pretty cool watch. I'm not going to sit here and go into complete detail about this show, but if you'd like to go watch it, go ahead and give it a whirl. Why not? I'll link it down below. But now, let's hop on to the next show. And it's kind of like Bill and Ted, something that's coming back. And again, like I said last time, this isn't so much a show, it's a parade. We had the return of the Festival of the Dead parade, which had the same route as the year before, which started in Hollywood and ended in New York. Now, the parade was really similar to the year before, with the exception that this year's parade had a float dedicated to Chucky and his bride. And the next show on our list, because, we've talked about the parade enough, we've talked about Bill and Ted a lot, let's go to something new and exciting. The next show was located at the Mel's Drive-In stage, and it was called Horrorpalooza. This show was a rock and roll concert featuring music from very popular 80s bands, and it even featured the Kiss Army Band, a band that looked just like Kiss. So, how cool was that? And finally, our 4th and final show at the event was called Inferno, and it was located at the Animal Actors stage. This show was performed around 3 times a night, and it had sort of like a Cirque du Soleil feel to it that included daredevils and acrobats. So, just imagine like Cirque du Soleil, but spooky. So that's all the information we have on shows. So let's just take a walk down to the streets. Well, street, because we only had one this year, and you know it by now, it is the midway of the bazaar. So this was similar to the one that we had in the year prior, with us still having the clowns and the carnies everywhere. But this year they added a tall contortionist fitting himself into a 3x3x3 cube and remaining in there for some time. Aside from that, It's practically the same exact zone. Alright, now that we're done with the shows and the streets, we can technically move on to the houses now. Am I right? I'm right. So, technically, we only had 3 houses this year. However, we had 2 dual run houses. So essentially, we had 5. Let me explain. The first of the 2 dual run houses we had was the SS Titanic, which, like I said, was split into 2 totally different houses that were located in the earthquake queue. Before I move on, I just want to say, if I'm not mistaken, this was Mike Aiello's first house. Just a fun fact I know as a Horror Nights fan. So I'm saying as a scare actor, not as a designer. Just have to make sure I threw that out there because didn't want to be misunderstood. Before I dive into the 2 houses individually, it's stated here that the house is essentially a parody of the smash hit film Titanic. The creative team wanted to create something unique. So the setting is that the luxury liner, the SS Titanic, was docked up in San Francisco after going to Hawaii. On this trip, the ship reportedly got sucked into a black hole and into another dimension. After arriving at San Francisco, the crew went insane, and the ghosts haunted the various areas of the dilapidated ship. Alright, so this is where it gets a little fun. In line for the house, guests would decide whether they wanted to go and take the Fear in First Class, which is to the left, or the Carnage Crew, which is to the right. So, since this is a dual run house, I guess I'll pick the house side that I would have picked first here. And that would be the Fear in First Class. I don't know, I just feel like it's a pretty cool concept. Why do I say this? Let's hop right into it. This was basically the fancier areas of the ship. Once guests entered the building, they would walk right past the ticket giver, who points them in the direction of the luggage area. Slightly after passing the building that says Harbor View, I put quotes up, I'm sorry if you guys can't see it, but guests would be able to see a giant ship with 2 skeletons recreating the famous I am the king of the world scene from the Titanic. This house had many unique features. Like the windows made it seem like you were underwater. There was like some kind of bubbling water there to make it seem like you're actually underwater, which is really cool. They still use effects like this to today. Like in Depths of Fear, they had effects like this. Anyways, well, on the Fear in First Class side of this house, you would walk through a ballroom with mannequins, an entertainment area with paintings on the walls, and human heads spinning around a roulette table. That just sounds pretty amazing. Anyways, a room filled with elevators. One holds a scare actor, and another is holding a human leg that's jammed in the door. There was also a treasure vault room that contained a safe with a large security guard's character. And finally, we have the exit, which is a dilapidated room with corpses hanging from the ceiling, and a large box called This End Up, possibly referencing how guests have just finished one side of the house. Pretty funny. I mean, that's a really good joke, essentially. However, before guests leave, they are attacked by one final scare actor straight in front of them. Now, let's go to the other side, the Carnage Crew. So, opposed to the Fear in First Class, the Carnage Crew was set in the poorer areas of the ship. You would enter the same building that you would enter in First Class, obviously, but you'd walk to the receptionist area, where there was a female zombie in a summer dress. But you would do something similar you did on the other side. You'd walk past 2 skeletons recreating the I'm the king of the world scene. So I couldn't find out if this was on both sides of the ship, but I know that for sure on the Carnage Crew side of the ship, they tried to make it seem as if the boat was moving because, you know, you're on the poor area, so you're going to be lower, so you're going to feel the ocean move. So there was a lot of changes in elevation, and Horror Nights does this now. I think in recent memory they've done it in Seeds, they've done it in Dead Waters, and it's just such a cool effect for them to do, to have the elevation change. It makes you feel uneasy, and it allows a good scare to come at you. They were basically trying to make you feel seasick, which is a brilliant idea. And I'm pretty sure if they brought this concept back, like not the dual run house, but the SS Titanic, I'm pretty sure it would do phenomenal nowadays in Horror Nights. At one point in the house, you would walk through the crew quarters with one man laying dead on the bed, impaled by a sword. Human bones and other remains were scattered over the bunk beds, and there was this character portraying a zombified crew member. Another room was the bridge. You know, Captain on the bridge. Sorry, that's a joke that I have with my family. With cracked walls, pieces of cloth hanging down from the ceiling, and another zombie's character manning the wheel. Now, I believe that was Aiello's part. Sorry. But that's just, I'm pretty sure that's what it was because they put it in the anniversary house. We'll get to that in about later. Anyways, another room was a dentist's office with the smell of burning teeth. That's disgusting. In the room, an evil dentist could be seen drilling a patient's teeth with rusty tools. I wish I knew how this house exited, but I couldn't really find that information anywhere. If you know, please let me know because I am beyond curious because this sounds amazing. So since we don't know how that ends, we're going to move on to the next dual run house, which was a returning thing from the year prior. Back in Soundstage 22 was Universal's Museum of Horror, which was split into two, obviously, dual run house. It was the Chamber of Horrors and Unnatural History. Outside of the Museum of Horrors was a stone gargoyle. The beginning of the house was an old, dusty house with spiderwebs hanging down from sides, with the words, "Die here." The corridors were lit with candelabras. The walls also contained various movie posters, including one for Halloween 2. This was where the line split. So this is where you need to make your choice. So I'm going to make mine right now. The one I'm going to go to will be the Chamber of Horror. Featured on this side of the house, we had Frankenstein's monster, Count Dracula, the Wolfman, the Phantom of the Opera, Norman Bates, and the Night of the Living Dead zombie. Most of the sets in this house were based off of actual scenes from films. Featured, for example, guests would walk through a farmhouse modeled after the Night of the Living Dead farmhouse, with a zombie bursting out of a mattress. In that same room, there was also a bunk bed that contained one little girl laughing, which was weird. I can't find that much information on this one. This one's the one that sounds most similar to the one from the year prior, with the only differences being the Night of the Living Dead zombie and Norman Bates. So we're going to move over to Unnatural History, which would have a more modern take on the horror movies. For example, the films that were confirmed to be represented in this house were Halloween, The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, An American Werewolf in London, Poltergeist, The Shining, Friday the 13th, and Scream. Now, there were a few that were not confirmed, but if you went through the house, please let me know if you remember these, because why not? Fargo, X-Files, The Fly, Candyman, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Similar to the other portion of this house, it would feature multiple scenes from said movies. For example, it featured the head spin scene from The Exorcist, and then Danny screaming "Red Rum, Red Rum" from The Shining, as well as the hedge maze. Towards the end of the house, there was a scene with Leatherface that would lead you to being attacked by a figure who was most likely Michael Myers. That would be followed by another scare, which would be Ghostface from Scream. Now, before I move on, we also had two unconfirmed scenes, which were the alien abduction scene from X-Files and then the wood chipper scene from Fargo. Now, like I said, if you guys went through this house and you saw this, please let me know because I want to know if this is concrete or not. Because an alien abduction scene just sounds amazing to see in person. And then the wood chipper scene from Fargo. And now, last but not least, we have, located in Nelserman's, Hell's High. Now, what's Hell's High? Well, the story was that there was a school where a slasher movie was being filmed. But the movie villain for this and other actors were possessed by several murderers and started killing anyone who wandered onto the set for real. After the director yelled cut, it was still go time for him. The villain was Michael Kruger. He was a hybrid between Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, sharing a name with Michael Myers. The facade was a banner hanging above Nazarman saying, Universal Pictures presents Hell's High, now shooting. There was also a poster on a brick wall showing Michael Kruger holding a noose and a machete. He's standing in front of a fiery background where the words Hell's High written with the tagline for the movie, School's Out, forever. So the line for this house was pulsed, meaning that they would only allow a certain amount of people into the house at once. Now, while you were waiting, there was a sign in the shape of a clipboard in front of you that would say hot set, production in progress. So essentially, you were basically going to walk on to a high school movie set, and it's a hot set. So when the director says cut and the door opens, you think it's done, but the killer's on the loose, and he's going to kill anyone and anything that wandered onto the premise. Now, since you're going into a school, you're going to have a lot of different sets. For example, we had the cafeteria, which had a blood-splattered lunch lady, a gym equipment room with a hanging body, a nurse's room, so a nurse's office, that had an evil nurse holding a syringe. And then, finally, at the end of the house, you would walk past two Michael Krugers. One's holding a machete, and one's holding a meat cleaver. Now, sadly, that's all the information I could find on Hell's High. And, as well, that's all the information I could find on 1998. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I can't wait to keep covering the coming years for you guys. We're almost at the icons years. And talking about the icons, why don't you guys go check out my speculation video that I did, talking about the Singapore and Hollywood icons, which ties into the new speculation map that dropped as well, which we also made a video covering that. So why not go check both of those out and learn about some icons, and then learn about the new speculation. With all that being said, why don't you guys go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let's see, the magic word for today, comment down below. Titanic. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to hit that bell notification as well. And stay excellent, my dudes.